Hello everybody. Today's video is basically getting to know me. Up until this point, every video I have put out has been just for my personal Facebook page, for friends and family. And if I'm being honest, I don't particularly enjoy doing these videos, but every time I upload a video, somebody reaches out and thanks me for doing it. Whether it was a song I played for them, or maybe it was a topic or something I talked about in whatever video. And that drives me and motivates me to do the next one, so on and so forth. Well, my name is Steven. I am 42 years old. I have two beautiful daughters who are 18 and 19 right now. I have just over a year-old, most adorable little grandson you'll ever see in your entire life. I am the son of, let's not sugarcoat it, a crackhead. My dad was probably the most functioning drug addict I've ever seen in my life. My mom was an abused housewife for 22 years, I think they made it. She always worked two jobs, two full-time jobs, to kind of make up the deficit of the money that he would blow on drugs and whatever. He was not a good person. I knew that he wanted to be, but he just wasn't. And I kind of went along that same path for a long time. While I did dodge the drug addiction and alcoholism, I dodged those bullets by being smart enough to know what not to do in those situations. That addictive personality has sunk in other ways, hence the back wall behind me and things like cars and trucks. I've owned over 200 cars and trucks at this point, and maybe an equal amount of guitars. But I learned from my mom to be a price per pound shopper. If you don't know what that is, it's when you're looking at something at the store, you're looking for the cheapest price per pound. What is the best bang for your buck? And that's how I've kind of grown up. Like, this stuff is super nice, but I will find the cheapest one in the country, and then I will politely lowball them from there. And most of the time, it works out. I have been the villain in a lot of stories. I have been the villain in my own story for most of my life. I have suffered from pretty bad depression for at least 30 years. I call it when you grow a mind of your own, when you're a kid, when you kind of branch off out on your own from what your parents like and you start developing your own sense of self. That's when my depression started. Because I knew my childhood wasn't right. I didn't exactly know to what depth, but I knew that it just wasn't normal. And without the drugs and alcohol, I followed down that same bad guy path that my dad did. Lying, cheating on women. I've never really stolen anything from an individual, but I used to shoplift like crazy. CDs when I was a kid, I had a great CD collection because they all were in my pocket. And that's basically how I went about life for a very long time. I had no sense of permanence. Everything was like wham bam, thank you ma'am, on to the next. What's next? Who's next? I didn't love myself enough to truly love the people around me. Every part of me wishes I could have just a 30-second conversation with my 20-year-old self. just, or even just give him a glimpse of what's to come because of his actions and his behavior. I often say that if I didn't have bad luck, I wouldn't have any luck. And that's something that I still kind of agree with. I was desensitized to things like violence and gore at a very, very young age. We used to watch things like Faces of Death. If you don't know what that is, it's basically Rotten.com on a VHS tape. The most brutal, heinous things you've ever seen. People getting smashed by cars or trains or buildings falling on people. Sex change operations at 10 years old while eating dinner. That was kind of a normal. Like I said, as I got older, you realize that stuff's not normal, but it's already done the damage up here. So I lived as this kind of villainous character for a long time while still trying to be good. You know, if I had seen you broke down on the side of the road, chances are I'm the guy that's going to stop to see if you need help or if there's anything that I can do, even if I can't do anything, just to make sure you're okay, while still feeling like just a horrible person. Let's go back to the, if it weren't for bad luck, there'd be no luck. I was hit by a car when I was 15 or 16. I got hit really hard in my left leg. It kind of just blew everything apart without breaking anything. So there wasn't really much to be done. I still limp from it all these years later. That put my mindset even lower. About 14 years ago, I had an accident at work. I got hit directly in the center of the top of my head with, I'm going to say it was 75 pounds, a shipping crate. It might have been more. It hit me perfect with an edge. Boop! Split me open. It rolled down the muscle between your shoulder blade and your spine, and it just turned that into a big wad of scar tissue that still hurts. It still bothers me. I had dislocated ribs on this side for 5 years before a chiropractor was smart enough to realize what was actually going on. He put them back in place, but the calcium buildups were so bad that they still pop out pretty often, but I know how to put them back into place now. I have torn ligaments in my left hand. I'm left-handed. I dislocated ribs on this side not that long ago, which in turn tried to grab on to the trap muscle here. And the way the doctor explained it was like it was pulling on it, like it was pulling on a rope on the base of my skull. And as I'm sitting here, it's still pretty painful. It's probably a 6 compared to what it's been over the last few weeks. I was married to a incredible, yet broken in her own way, woman for 14 years. And early on in our marriage, I stepped out, or early on in our relationship, I had stepped out with a coworker, not viewing life with any permanence. I knew it wasn't okay, but it didn't stop me. We kind of not necessarily got over it, but just moved on. I wasn't necessarily nice to her. for many years. I had moments, but for the most part, I was a bad husband. I was not a bad father, but a disconnected father. Um, 2.5 years ago, we got an opportunity to buy a business, to buy a small business. My wife was a barista, probably the best barista in our town, worked for the most popular coffee stand in our town, who was run by another villain thinking they're a good guy. So we got this opportunity, and like most of my stories, it was so cheap that we would have been dumb not to. So we did. We opened our coffee stand. I still worked full time at a job that I just despised. I still work the same job, but it's different now. So we had owned the coffee stand for like a month, if that. And I tore a tendon in my left wrist, and being left-handed, it left me very limited on what I could do. But you still have to do what you got to do. You still have to go to work. You still have to do this. You still have to do that. You still have obligations to your business. But while I still did all my obligations, it made me retreat further and further inside, and I just became more and more miserable and more miserable and more miserable. This guitar right here, BC Rich, I worked in that one there. That was my first job in high school, was the BC Rich Custom Factory in Hesperia, California. I ordered that guitar. I got a killer deal on it. And the next week is when I hurt my wrist. And I didn't touch a guitar for 2 solid years. And being that was my primary source of therapy, losing all of my outlets while still having to do my day-to-day obligations dramatically took its toll on my mental health. That toll put the burden onto my family. And my wife suffered greatly for it. And there's no easy way to put it. She found somebody that she thought would do a better job. That completely shattered me. Being an already depressed, miserable individual with basically losing my marriage, and at the same time my kids kind of growing up and starting their own lives, going from that full family, even if I was a miserable person, to being alone was terrible. We fought on for a long time, both for our relationship, and just fought back and forth, bickering and arguing, and things got really ugly. I became very ugly. And I decided to get therapy. I had gone to weekly one-on-ones for a bit, and it helped, but it didn't really solve anything. As lovely as the woman is, she just was too kind, and I don't respond well. I need somebody to challenge me. Her and I had a huge blowout, and I decided I needed more serious help. And I found a place, and they've been awesome to me. Group therapy to me is you get much more out of it. Seeing that there's people in all walks of life and all ethnicities that are going through something similar and have that similar mindset has been a great deal of help. And putting out these videos, as much as I kind of don't like doing them, has been a great deal of help. I've been an introverted person my entire life, and these have really helped kind of get me out of my shell, where I can actually have good, meaningful conversations with just random people in the store, in the bank, wherever. And I enjoy it. I enjoy seeing the people smile. And I also enjoy letting people just unload their problems. Lady at the store, I could see something. This one person I'm talking about, I worked with her at Walmart for many years. Places like Walmart are terrible for your mental health. You go to a job that when you show up and you clock in, you're behind. You work your 8 hours, you're still behind. And when you come back tomorrow, you're even that much more behind. And it really takes its toll. I could see that this woman, something just wasn't right. So I said, "Are you okay? What's going on?" And she just, right there in the store, let it all out. But you could see that she needed to. And that kind of drove me partly to do these videos. You have problems? I want to hear about them. Everybody needs somebody to vent to. And as I'm getting ready for my weekly therapy, I decided to get this done really fast. It's not exactly how I wanted it to go, but it's good enough. I want all of you people, every last one of you, to know peace and happiness. So what happened between my wife and I completely broke me. I didn't lose my job. I quit my job. I basically lost my mind. I would sleep an hour or two a week. I would eat a meal a week, to the point where friends and family thought I was addicted to drugs. And as terrible as everything went down, I thank her for opening me up. I know it sounds weird, but because of what happened and being completely broken down to your most basic elements, I've been able to pick and choose what pieces go back and what pieces I get to throw away. I feel now where I never did before. My brain was very much either Gordon Ramsay just screaming at me, or it was Dolph Lundgren in Rocky IV, just cold and callous. If he dies, he dies. No compassion for the outside world. And that's completely different now. And I have trauma to thank. The post-traumatic growth has been exponential, and it continues to grow every single day. And I don't want anybody watching this to have to go through what I went through to unlock the happiness in their mind. Because you don't need to. You don't need to suffer in order to get better. You can just get better. Whether it's your mind or your body or whatever, you don't have to suffer to get better. You can just get better. And that's part of what these videos are going to be. I enjoy playing guitar. I'm not super good at it. I took a couple years off, so I'm getting back to where I was-ish in my skill set and my capabilities. But I want to hear from you guys. What's bothering you? What plagues you? What hurdle can you not get over? Maybe some of my wisdom can help you. Maybe I have the perfect lessons in what not to do, what avenues to avoid. So please, feel free to comment or reach out. What's bothering you? What do you need help with? Because that's why I'm here, and that's why I'm doing these videos, is to try and help anybody that might watch them. So until next time, if you're watching this, it's because I love you guys very, very much, and I hope you have a great night. Until next time.